GT2 European Series, powered by Pirelli, hits Misano this weekend. 2 50-minute races, and the first coming up, David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside under bright blue skies, swelteringly hot conditions. And for the drivers that are going to do this race on their own, they are going to know they've been in a motor race by the end of it. GT2 enjoying its best ever season. Bigger grids than we've had hitherto. We've got 8 manufacturers represented on this grid, including, of course, a number of drivers in the SRO GT Academy. And the introduction this year of a Silver Cup, bringing the young guns into GT2, really has been a good move. Qualifying this morning interrupted by many red flags and quite a few drivers in various scrapes, whether it was going off into gravel or indeed in the case of a Ginetta, Joe, losing the tyre off the rim.
Yeah, I saw the Ginetta coming back on the flatbed and it was missing the rear left wheel completely, so potential wheel nut failure or hub failure on that one, so the team would have been working hard to get that one back. Of course, that Ginetta was so quick, wasn't it, at Spa last time out, and hopefully they can regain that form.
So, for the first race, it is going to be Maserati on pole position. Again, when qualifying happened this morning, it's one session, one grid, and 20 cars we have ready for this first race of the weekend, with Antoine Potti in the Maserati taking pole position. And the cars, as you can see, on their way round to the grid right now, with the variety that we have, including not only Maserati, but Ginetta, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, Audi, KTM, and Mercedes as well. And Audi traditionally has gone very well around here, so interesting to see whether or not that is going to be the car to have again. 20 minutes to 30 minutes is the pit window, 155 seconds, but then also factor into this compensation time, if you like, a penalty in all but name, from being in the top 3 in the previous round of the championship.
Yeah, exactly. It can be 10, 7 or 5 seconds depending on that. So the pit stops always shake it up, and with it being a relatively long pit stop, it has to be at least 155 seconds. 46 of those is just driving through the pit lane, which is just over 600 meters here. So it is a long pit stop for these teams to do. We see them put fuel in. It's kind of the traditional British GT way, isn't it, where the driver has to be out of the car and then they use dump churns, sometimes just 25 litres, sometimes 50, as the cars make their way to the grid. A Ginetta, followed by a Lamborghini, followed by what looks like a bucking Mercedes.
Making its way to the grid. Marshals are there with the grid boards, ready to tell drivers where they need to be. And gradually the cars starting to get themselves into place. It's a fairly flat circuit, this, but there's more to it than perhaps you first think. It's very popular with motorbike racing, but it's good for car racing. You've got fast sections, there are some tight and twisted bits, there are different places where you can overtake, and that long, fast back straight takes you into this series of right-handers, each one a bit tighter than the previous.
Yeah, and what we're now getting is our first race starts. You've got your ultimate racing line and then a compromised race lap where you don't want to keep the door too open for people to lunge down the inside of you.
Let's get to the grid. Bryn Lucas is down there, so also from the outside of the front row, championship leader Ethel Gialdini.
Started the season so well, and here you are, second on the grid, your arch rival in the championship, just pulling into position now, but you have less pit stop compensation, so this puts you in a very strong position here.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, my teammate did a great qualifying session, so P2 at the start. We will see during the race what we can do. Maybe we can catch the first position at the end, so yeah, just do our best and we will see.
When you look at the characteristics of the Ginetta out on track, where is it performing well? Where are you perhaps needing to find extra time, or is it just good everywhere?
Yeah, honestly, there is a lot of difference between the car here. Maybe we are better on the sector 1 and sector 3, less power on the straight line, so we need to have some compensation on the sector 1, sector 3. So yeah, we will see, and we'll see also the degradation of the tire. Maybe it will be good at the end, so that should be a tough race, yeah.
Bit of cat and mouse for us. Good luck, bon chance.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Michael Muir will start, Ethel Gialdini will take over, whereas Antoine Potti goes solo. But because he's a solo driver, that means he has longer to serve in the pit lane by way of the extra compensation time. So this is all part of the fascination of the first stint, seeing where the drivers that have these compensation times can overcome that deficit and pull out a gap.
Yeah, exactly. Drivers trying to remain cool. We have the regulation where blowers can't be used. That is normally waived in these conditions as long as driver cooling, and that's definitely what's happening there. And Stefan Rettel looking on. It's GT2 grid, which continues to mature, doesn't it, in size and quality.
Yeah, the LP Racing team runs a fleet of cars, including when he has the time, Stefan's car. For the Iron Dames team, Laura van der Hengel will start in 85 Porsche.
Yeah, we've seen them in the Porsche and the Maserati, haven't we, so far this year? You would say potentially the Maserati seen the more competitive out of the two cars they've driven, but they are now back aboard this Porsche, which wasn't available to them as they raced at Spa, so they've switched back to the original car we saw them at Monza in.
And is there a gap on the grid? I think it's the RTR Project KTM that wasn't there, Victor Mirage's car.
Yeah, the 89 is still in pit lane at the moment, so at best they're going to have to start from pit lane. Worst case, there's a bigger gremlin for that car, and unfortunately we do see it with the KTM, doesn't it? It's fast when it works, but it's hard to keep in that working window, it would seem.
Yeah, so it will save it a lap of fuel. It will put it behind any dramas, but it's a problem sitting in the pit lane. Let's get back to the grid. 116, Adrian Ferrer and new co-driver Bas Visser and Nina Jade Paul is standing by the Mercedes.
Adrian, quite grueling conditions in this heat. You are currently P3 in silver. What's your approach to the race this afternoon?
So for me, this race is going to be really amazing and entertaining because I did P3 in quali, but I have an accident on quali that put me in this place. But
well, good luck. Thank you very much. Throwing to Brian, who's got another driver for you guys.
Yeah, certainly do. Luca Piri is here with me. Luca, your teammate, we're talking Iron Dames down there with NJ. She's been talking, your teammate, Celia, is an Iron Dames, making her debut in this championship.
Yeah, we are incredibly excited to have Celia in our team. She did amazing. I'm very happy for her pace and for her performance. We really look to fight hard for the Masters class. We have two cars, one next to the other one. We have Philippe fighting for the championship and Celia, and we'll do our best to bring it home for a good result for Iron Dames.
And you're proudly wearing the Italian flag on your race suit, on your undergear as well. What's it like being here in the heat in Italy in front of the home fans for you?
We are very happy to be home. It's a home track. I mean, I'm Italian, the team is Italian. I've got my son also racing against me. I mean, we couldn't be more full on than this weekend.
The Piris are taking over. Good luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Just over Luca Piri's shoulder, and there is another bit again. Is that steam? Is that smoke? What's going on? Either there's a problem or they've got a really funky dry ice system there.
Yeah, I thought it could have been if it was coming from the cockpit, but that engine bay is getting hot, and it's still quite hard to see if it was smoke or steam. Either or, it wasn't designed that way, but Luca Piri seemingly A-OK with it or not aware of it.
Right, so that gap. So locked in the pit lane is Victor Mirage from what would have been fourth on the grid, and irrespective of where the car starts from, assuming it does start, 10 seconds to serve on the pit stop for compensation time. So if Mirage even gets into the race, he needs a safety car in the first stint really to bunch them up and negate some of the problem that 10 seconds might give him. Right, let's see. The cars are good to go. At the very back of the grid, Roberto Pampanini, disappointing qualifying, but at least he's back in the championship, having missed the last outing. And engines fire, we are just about ready to go here at Misano. The pole position car is that of Antoine Potti on the inside line for the rolling start. Standing start puts you on the outside, but a rolling start the in here at Misano. The grid is being cleared at the 1 minute board at the engines fire, and that's the instruction. Clear the grid, and then we'll have the 15-second board. The lead car, Maserati, normally accelerates away, and that just gives the race cars a chance to play catch-up rather than crawl away behind it. And then we are good to go racing for the first of two here at Misano. Wins this year have gone at Monza to Antoine Potti in race one, and then to David Thelenius and J-Mo Hertling in the second. At Spa, Michael Nior and Ethel Gialdini won the first, and it was Thomas Anderson and Simon Birch, absent this weekend, who won the second. You can see in the pit lane the KTM looks like it's still being worked on, but not with much urgency.
Yeah, unless they fix the problem and they're just trying to keep the driver cool with that canopy open. Hopefully, Ginetta slightly slow away, but away now okay. And we start this formation lap. No tyre ovens for GT2, so they will be working to get these temperatures up.
So the cars work their way down towards then that turn 1, 2, 3 Parco sequence of corners. Let's look at the grid. Antoine Potti on pole position with Mikel Nior lining up second. It is Stefan Rossina with new co-driver Lorenzo Marcucci starting third, and from the pits, if he gets in at all, Victor Mirage will go from there, having qualified fourth. Celia Martin makes her debut fifth alongside Philippe Pret. Then you have Thomas Yu Lee and the Sudanese Max Grip for company. Next up, it is going to be number 294, the Andre Rokosh Mercedes, alongside Lawrence Tomlinson. Adrian Ferrer with new co-driver Bas Visser starting on the 6th row. Laura van den Hengel is alongside, ahead of Marius Eigner and Alexis Berthe in the Lamborghini. Then it's Alberto Di Martin, a long way back on the grid, the Spanish driver. Alongside him, another of the Mercedes. This is David Thelenius' car. Next up, it is Oliver Freimuth alongside Wilhelm Kuhner. And the back row, the Ferrari of Patrick Michelier and Roberto Pampanini, who did not get a lap time in after travails in qualifying. So Pampanini one to watch, I think, because I'm not saying he's got race-winning pace, but certainly he's quicker than last on the grid would reflect.
Massively so. I think he's probably second fastest on this grid. I think to Philippe Pret, as it does look like the KTM's ready to go. Canopy is closed. Are they going to have to bump start this car? As the starter motor being the issue, so they're going to have to push that car up to speed, and the driver will drop the clutch to get the engine fired up.
In Pro-Am, 2 wins to David Thelenius and J-Mo Hartling, both of them coming at Monza, and then a win apiece at Spa for Mike Simpson and Lawrence Tomlinson's Ginetta and the absent Anderson and Birch combination. So in the championship there, it is Thelenius and Hertling ahead of De Martin and Montserrat. It's 92 points, sorry, 60, I'll try again, 79 points, play 62. And in Masters, Philippe Pret is ahead on 86, and Victor Mirage second on 52. Pret twice a winner. Mirage won last time out at Spa with Lennart Marionetch, but he's got David Kajai, the Ferrari champion, back with him. Other winner this year, the absent here, Shota Abkazova. So a mix of people coming in and out of the championship, and we are good then, ready to go. The cars make their way up now through Cavoni, turn 11. 12 is a bit tighter, 13 is tighter still, 14's a full-on hairpin. Yeah,
it's always decreasing, and 14 is the slowest corner of the lap here at Misano. So you're attacking from the highest speed, 265 kilometers an hour in these GT2, all the way down to 60k, where they are right now at 14.
Now, Antoine Potti, 14 seconds to serve in the pits. Mikel Nior alongside, 5 seconds to serve. Some of that is because Antoine Potti is a soloist, so you get extra time for that. But it's going to be interesting to see whether he can clear 9 seconds effectively over that Ginetta. He does not want a safety car in this opening stint. Far from it as we get ready to go racing. It is our 5th race of the 10. Zandvoort and Portimao to come the other side of Misano. We're ready to go racing then here in the sunshine on the Adriatic coast. The lights on the gantry are red. Race 1 of 2 in GT2 European Series, powered by Pirelli, is go. And a good getaway by Potti from pole. It's a little bit messy behind as people darted out of the 2 lines, but as they thunder their way down towards turn 1, it's going to be the Maserati of Antoine Potti in the lead. Mikel Nior, though, tries to go with him, and he's up the inside, and he's done it for the race lead. Great move up the inside at turn 2. Very nicely done indeed. And Mikel Nior charges up the inside, takes the place. That was a really brave bit of driving.
Really good. And Celia Martin up to 3rd from 5th on the grid as well. And that LP smoking Maserati on the grid seems okay now. And yeah, great move from the Jetta of Nior. Look, yeah, Martin is up to 3rd. And then, yeah, there's a group of Maseratis in the top 6.
So the 2 leading cars then come now down towards turn 8. Another challenge look being made there up on the inside line. That going through is the LP Racing Stefan Rossina Audi trying to recover from a poor start. But up front it's Ginetta from Maserati, and Mikel Nior then is just about being able to fend off the hard-charging Antoine Potti behind. Pretty much everybody else have got a playmate so far, as there is Laura van den Hengel ahead of Alexis Berthe, and also 111 David Thelenius in the Mercedes on a charge as well. Here are the leaders, and Potti now trying to use the advantage that the Maserati has in a straight line to get back past the Ginetta, but to no avail as they come down through Curvoni.
Yeah, the Mercedes with his indicator on is obviously accidental, isn't showing where it's going. The 89 KTM has not left pit lane yet either to clear up some admin there, so potentially a bigger issue than they thought.
So the KTM he's going to go a lap down, isn't it? Because at the end of lap 1, Mikel Nuhr is in the lead of the race as they turn their way up towards the timing line. So Nuhr leads Potty, but Mikel Nuhr is not getting away. And here comes the Maserati getting the draft, then over the timing line. The gap between them at the end of lap 1 is nothing at all. They dive now down towards turn 1, and round the outside of the Ginetta goes the Maserati. So Potty does to Nuhr what Nuhr did to him on the opening lap, and right with them now is Celia Martin. They were side by side, 33 thousandths ahead just was the Ginetta at the end of lap 1. But it's all changed. Maserati 1, Maserati 3.
Yeah, the Ginetta has got the corner performance, but not the straight line performance, as we see the Mercedes there getting down the inside. Nice clean move done, and he gets it is done. And Philip Pret, normally on the front foot, has actually now dropped a place down to 7th from his 6th place starting position.
So the race leaders accelerate their way down now through the left-hander of turn 8, that is the curve at Quechia, with a slight climb the other side of it, but all these things are relative. It's certainly not a Spa-type climb. The red Maserati of Philippe Pret looking to try to gain places. At the moment, you've got Celia Martin leading a class ahead of Pret, and then Andre Rocoche third. In silver, it is Nuhr from Potty from Stefan Rossina, the reigning champion. Now, Antoine Potty looking as though he's starting to get away, and if anything, the battle is on for third place, because Celia Martin going great guns here. GT2 debut all over the back of Mikel Nuhr in that quick starting Ginetta.
Yeah, is it going to be deja vu for Nuhr? Is it going to be a Maserati blasting past him over the start finish straight? He needs to try and make his escape. This Ginetta kicked out a load of fire out the exhaust, and it turned into 15 last lap. No fire this lap, so hopefully that can be saved for combustion. I think he did do a track limit there on the exit of 15. That will become prevalent as well. We'll keep you updated with any track limit issues, but it does seem like the Maseratis are fast, but Martin not close enough to get second place away from the Ginetta.
Big battle on there, look, as well, coming up towards the line, because you've got the car of Adrian Ferrer trying to find a way through past Thomas Yu Lee. Didn't quite work. Out of turn 3 they come. So Potty to Nuhr, 1 second, and we understand from the pit lane that Victor Marash's problem is a clutch failure. So they were looking to try and start the car, but even with that, it ain't going to go very far. So clutch, sadly, putting them out of the race from 4th on the grid. Big disappointment.
Yeah, it's a real shame even to get it going. They're obviously clutching at straws to bump starter, but even that seemed to fail as we look at the Mercedes, which historically is so strong at the end of the straight. So keep an eye on this car. Farrier at the moment trying to get 5th place off Yu Lee.
Impressive the way that Antoine Potty now, having cleared that Ginetta, is just driving away, isn't it? This is the big battle where you've got Thomas Yu Lee 5th, Adrien Ferrer 6th, and then Philippe Pret in that number 1. The red Maserati in 7th place, tucked up behind. Nuhr still under attack. He's having to sit in the middle of the road, isn't he, now, to keep Celia Martin at bay. Stefan Rossina is next as Ferrer gets up the inside of Yu Lee. No way through there. And then out of Curvoni, they get towards turn 12, which is another kink, and then 13, which is a tighter right, and 14, that's your hairpin.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a long straight there. The Mercedes is gaining. You can see he needs to get it done because Philip Pret wants to get the position back. Those positions switched a couple of laps ago, remember, at turn 6. But it seems like at the moment it's this Yu Lee Maserati that's struggling for pace. Potentially going to be a 4-car battle here for 5th place by the end of this next lap.
Yeah, Thomas Yu Lee, with respect to him, does look like the cork in the bottle as Martin comes up to have a go at the Ginetta. Round the outside at 1, the inside line for 2. And the job is done at turn 3. And that's 2 cars that have done to Mikel Nuhr what he did to get the lead on the first lap. And you think, having done it himself, he'd be wise to the move and covering it off. But that Ginetta just does not seem to have the grunt anymore, and he's being caught hand over fist now by Stefan Rossina.
Yeah, the problem, you cover the inside at one corner, then the next corner goes the other way, and suddenly you're on the outside, and that seemed to be the problem. You can't defend 2 corners at once. And the Maserati, just with the performance to get past the Ginetta. Of course, the balance of performance is working overtime to keep these very different cars in the same lap time. GT3, GT4, they all produce a lap time in a similar way, but the great thing about GT2 is there's a wider envelope of performance, and that's what I was talking about. The Ginetta, probably the fastest car, bar none, in the corner, but not the fastest in the straight.
Now, Pret's being caught here by Marius Eigner, look, in the KTM, surviving KTM. So this battle pack is growing all the time as the cars currently are working lap number 4. It's a 50-minute race, remember, so the clock ticks on down as again Ferrer tries to get up the inside of Thomas Yu Lee, who has got just enough in a straight line there to be able to fend off that Mercedes. He may not be able to do it for much longer, but at least that's 2 laps in a row where he's been able to fight for position going down that back part of the circuit. Pret also now all over the back of Ferrer. So here you've got the car of Thomas Lee, which is Pro-Am, ahead of the silver car of Ferrer, ahead of the Am car of Pret.
And a 5-second gap now in front of that Lee Maserati, so they will be getting frustrated. And how often do we see this? The frustration boils into a bit of a half-baked overtake, and it doesn't work out. The frustration rises, and that's going to be my fear in this battle back.
So Thomas Lee hangs on to position, at least for now, in the car that he shares with Nicolo Piri, son of Luca. See how much curb they use on the inside there, going out of turn 3, and then the run towards the double apex right here, the Curva del Rio. Pret getting a bit scrappy there as well, but you can see Adrian Ferrer's frustration is mounting, isn't it? He's using more curb, he's starting to move the car around more. The drone is keeping up with the Mercedes, which is keeping up with the Maserati ahead. Now we let them go down the back straight. Here comes Ferrer up the inside for turn 8. Job done.
Can he get it stopped? Looks like he's going in deep. He does get it parked. Pret goes in even deeper than that, and it is a clean move. And now Ferrer will want to try and make his escape from Lee, because I think Philip Pret could be the quickest out of this 4-car battle.
But now Ferrer goes a little bit wide, doesn't he, there? Heading up through the turn 14. Meanwhile, battle is on. Sorry, out of turn 10, I should say. Meanwhile, battle is on here between Nuhr and Stefan Rossina now. This is the 3rd place, so Stefan Rossina all over the back of the Ginetta, but not actually where he needs to be, and that is under braking for the hairpin. A spin for Alexis Berthet's Lamborghini that's got going, but that's smoking and it's got damage as well, hasn't it? It's all crab-like. It's been whacked in the back, and this is going to reveal possibly by whom. It is by the other Lamborghini of Oliver Freimuth. Bit messy, that, sadly.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a DNF for both. I think Freimuth's got a lot of front-end damage there, and potentially a penalty coming. And yeah, that Lamborghini crabbing back to pit lane. Race director will be hoping he can make it all the way without having to have an intervention.
So, as Antoine Potti leads, and we're on lap number 6, he's also done the fastest lap of the race, and he leads now by 6 seconds. Now, remember, he has to make effectively 14 over Celia Martin for the outright race win, because Celia Martin's car has no compensation time, but he needs to pull out 9 seconds over Michael Nuhr, because Nuhr's car's got 5 compensation seconds, and the gap's already 7.2. So Potti should, in theory, be able to clear that compensation deficit before the pit window, allowing for no safety cars.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe Martin's focus will shift to class result. So they're in the Masters class, so 2 bronze-graded drivers. That's why they've got the orange background on the timing tower. The blue is the silver class, the pro class, effectively. And then the green is the Pro-Am, which at the moment has the Am in the car. So those green cars will get faster as we have the Lee car getting out the gravel trap. That is done well. That's somewhere in sector 1. No, it's turn 10, isn't it? Just coming onto the back straight.
It is. And look at the amount of gravel that is showered across the circuit. We're seeing increasing ability of cars to just drive out of gravel. We had it in qualifying this morning. We had it in GT3 qualifying. That's going to cost Thomas Lee quite a lot of places. And he got there, by the look of it, courtesy of Marius Eigner, did he? Or was it all self-induced? It's self-induced. He's locked up. His tyre smoke. And around goes the back into the gravel. It goes. The gravel does its job, stops the car. But the good news is he can get away again. So it was down to the driver. Race order. Potti leading Martin. There is Nuhr. Rossina is still 4th. And Adrian Ferrer, now released, has just done his best lap of the race. He's absolutely charging. And the incident between Freimuth and Berthet is under investigation, with car 27 having stopped at turn 11, we understand.
Yeah, it looks like you stopped out the way, so should be okay. It's an interesting one for Lee. It didn't brake too late. And it locked up, which it shouldn't do because it has ABS braking, so the anti-lock braking system didn't work. But it almost looked more like the brake pedal went long, and it was the rear right locking. Sometimes as the brakes get hot, the fluid starts to boil effectively, and the brake goes long, and it always shifts the bias to the rear, the way the master cylinders work. And I would worry that was the problem there. He got going double quick time, but yeah, maybe sort of a story of what's going to come with these high temperatures. And it's the humidity as well. We started at 72% humidity in the race. It's dropped to 65, but it is very muggy out here at the moment.
There's 111, which is David Thelenius, up into 12th place now, double winner already this season, and indeed one of those wins within the Pro-Am class having come as an outright win in race 2 at Monza. But David is under attack right now from the Max Grip KTM, the pseudonymed Max Grip and Jack Russell combination. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll unearth the real names. But Max Grip behind the wheel and not doing a bad job right now, in 13th place overall, and giving that Mercedes something to think about through the twiddly bits. As change on third has happened, Rosina has gone through ahead of Mikel Nuhr. So Maserati ahead now of the Audi of Stefan Rosina, and then the Ginetta that led, remember, on the first lap, now down in 4th place.
Yeah, it's been difficult, hasn't it? It's obviously quick over a single lap, this number 3 Ginetta, but maybe not over a race distance. And to have an overtake done at turn 16 is quite a rarity, as we have a slow car at turn 14 at the moment. And this was the overtake. This is the rare corner for the overtake. And why is it rare? Because it's such a short brake zone. You're on the brake for just over 50 metres. There's not normally the time to have a speed delta to get the move done, but the Audi got it done and got it done cleanly.
Oliver Freimuth being given a drive-through for causing that collision here with the Alexis Berthet Lamborghini, as you see there, going through Alberto Di Martin, and behind is Roberto Pampanini then in the number 7 Maserati. Changed colour for the weekend, but Pampanini up from the back of the grid, and he's put himself into 11th place and going for 10th. So there is number 7. It's not gold anymore. It's almost a rather anonymous stealth grey, that Maserati. But Pampanini making moves all the while. He's 4th in class, and it won't be long, I think, before he's 3rd, except it'll be the other side of a safety car period. Safety car is called, and is that... So the car's coming up to the hairpin, and the safety car has been deployed. There's an incident out on track, which we'll come to once we know everyone is okay. So Antoine Potty is the leader. This is desperately bad luck for him because it negates an 8.6 second margin with 14 seconds to serve in the pits. And it may well be that the pit window is going to be delayed slightly if this is a long caution period.
Yeah, his heart would have sunk as soon as he saw all that safety car. All that hard work has amounted to zilch, unfortunately. I saw Yu Li having another problem. We just see him in shot here last time by through this sequence of corners. He lost a load of time. So he's had a spin at 10, and then last lap through here, there was another issue for that car. So he's definitely having to nurse that Maserati at the moment.
Just wondering if I'd spotted some damage on the front of Pampanini's Maserati, but it might be tired eyes. There is then Mikel Nuhr. And he has dropped, sorry, Lawrence Tomlinson, I should say, going through in the number 62 Ginetta. And Lawrence Tomlinson is now 7th. In fact, that, I fear, is Antoine Potty's car that has hit the barrier and cleared it. And it is. That's the race leader, the wrong side of the barrier. That looks like a brake failure or a throttle that's stuck open. It's up at turn 10. He just skims the curb and goes straight on, launched over the barrier. That's a huge impact and a scary accident for the race leader, Antoine Potty, who has just cleared the barrier and headed for the woods.
Wow, it was so similar at the start of that moment to Yu Li, wasn't it, who went on and had a half spin there. I just wonder, like I said, the brake's getting hot here, the brake pedal went long, but for sure that is a complete and utter brake failure. You can see the tyre wall's done its job, but it's not a part of the circuit where cars go off, hence why the barrier's acted how it has there. And yeah, Potty has I said his heart would have sunk when the safety car came out. That was the wrong way of phrasing that, but for sure that is not what he would have expected after a very strong start to this race.
Yeah, what we didn't know was that he was the cause of said safety car period, but we understand he's okay and out of the car, no doubt a bit shaken, but they're strong cars. You've got all the safety cell in there as well. As you say, the tyre barrier sort of doing what it's meant to, which is to take the energy out of the car, but as the impact perhaps topples the barrier, it then has that launch effect and he's gone over the top. But that's going to take a while, I would have thought, to get that car out of there. So it's going to be interesting to see now whether race control carry on with this or stop it, because I would have thought that barrier damage is going to be quite lengthy to repair.
Yeah, I can see the teams here talking about what potentially happened. Father and son Perry talking about that, and yeah, I mean, I've had my fair amount of big shunts, and
really?
The bigger they look, the less it hurts. Is always the correlation as the energy dissipates. But I had one in testing once, and
really?
It was so large that actually we didn't really have much delay to the day, because I was outside of the circuit by the time the crash had finished. And that's what I'm actually now thinking with Potty is, are they just going to clear it beyond the barrier rather than bring it back on the circuit and go that way? It's almost self-cleared itself.
Yeah, it's more the barrier itself I was thinking about, in fairness, not the car. The other question is whether or not the car can even race tomorrow, but that is for the I4 race team to think about. New team to circuit racing this year. You were pointing at somebody possibly with damage. Was that Pampanini?
I think it was famous. Lamborghini
okay.
is undressing itself more and more after that contact, and
Right.
he's already had the drive-through for it, which I think was correct from race control. I just now worry he's going to get the meatball flag, the mechanical warning flag, because there's a headlight missing already, so that's somewhere. It's hopefully inside his front end of that Lamborghini, but as we get back to green, I think that bodywork's going to start to unravel itself, and maybe they can address it in the pit window, which will open in just over 3 minutes, as we do go red flag, as you quite rightly predicted, David.
Yeah, 33 minutes on the clock, and I think the thinking is that it's just going to be so long to sort out that mess that you'd run the end of the race under the safety car. So to give people a chance to go racing, red flag is shown, the other side of which you would resume behind the safety car in the order that we have now. So it's not that the race is stopped, it is suspended, and then it will continue. But remember last year with barrier damage in the Sprint World Challenge Sunday race, you know how long that took. Now, okay, that was pretty exceptional circumstances, but that's been a pretty exceptional accident, as you were saying, a very unusual place for the car to go off at such high speed. There was a graze of the curb at that little kink at 9 that seemed to unsettle the car, but are we thinking it was more than that?
Yeah, always as the driver union, I'm going to defend the driver, but there was something in that cockpit that didn't react how he expected, and for me something in the braking system as he's hit the brakes. It's not the biggest brake there in through 9. I was listening in, but then I realised I don't speak Italian, so it's all a bit academic. Actually, not Italian, is it? Is it? Of an Eastern twang, isn't it?
Czech.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the brakes haven't reacted how he was expecting there. Like I said, it's not the biggest brake, but you are slowing the car down, and there was nothing. He skipped across the quite vast gravel trap. Of course, here at Misano, the safety level is super high because of the motorbike nature of it.
Yeah.
And the circuit, in fact, was struggling with safety, wasn't it, in its past? So they decided the easiest way to make it safe was to reverse the orientation of it, and it made the runoffs bigger and better. It's one of the only times I know of a racetrack that was designed the wrong way round, effectively.
But it works because, like we've been saying, it's got a nice mix of corners these days, and there you can see the cars then coming through the pit lane. Now, the red was thrown with about 33 minutes on the clock. For now, the clock is still ticking, but the race director, Noah Santamaria, will decide really what happens next, because she doesn't want to give up on this race. She wants people to have the chance to go racing, but mindful also that there is a timetable to adhere to, and there is a curfew, and the fact that there's a car to clear and a barrier to repair, and. So let's wait and see what develops here. There isn't a finite amount of time, because you've still got a McLaren race, and you've got a GT4 race and a GT3 race to come.
Yeah, exactly. Timetable pressures, victim of your own success. The SRO group, with how busy all the races are grid-wise, but also how jam-packed it is, and the crowd as well, of course. Quite a partisan view of Valentino Rossi, which is the last race of the day, and the GT World Challenge Sprint race is going to be a spectacle held under the lights.
And also tonight there is a big concert in the paddock, because increasingly GT World Challenge race weekends are events. They're not just races anymore. I think Stefan Rattel said at the start of last year he's done pretty much everything that can be done to get cars on the grid for championships. Now we need to get people through the gate, and so making events, doing the off-track thing to attract fans young and old, increasingly important. So there's the evening concert as well, if the soundtrack of GT cars isn't enough for you. So there, everybody in order in the pit lane. Great shot there from the drone as you hover over the cars. Straight away, doors open, or in the case of the KTM, the canopy up to get some air in. But I suspect we'll see drivers clambering out of cars, because they'll pretty much have twigged this is going to be a long stoppage.
Yeah, exactly that. And these GT2 cars don't run from the garages. That's the GT3 cars. So you tend to, as a driver, when you're in a support race, you go and find a team that you know, or a driver you know, to try and shelter in their garage, try and find some AC maybe in one of the trucks out the front of the paddock there. You can see, and it's just trying to cool down, because they would have been just getting ready for their pit window. We were 3 minutes away. The clock has actually gone back up to 33 minutes remaining like it was. And yeah, these drivers try and stay cool. There's always some confusion. Is it going to be a quick restart? You don't want to not be ready for the restart, so maybe some drivers just staying in just in case that quick restart were to happen.
because what you don't want to do is risk a driver change before the window. Equally, you don't want to waste available drive time for your quick driver, but it could be, and I think we've seen this in other red flag races in the past, whether it's GT2 or GT4, for example. It could be that this becomes the pit window while we have a red flag. Everybody changes driver, and then you go again with, let's say, 20 minutes on the clock, and the compensation time is added on at the end of the race, for example. I mean, there are all these different ways of trying to do it, depending on how long your stoppage is.
Yeah, and that's all the plates spinning in race control right now, isn't it? And yeah, that, I think I would agree that would probably be the logical thing to do with the time constraints we've got. These drivers have made their mark. They're in the positions that they would have finished. So if we were to go back to green from here, everyone would box within a lap or two. So it kind of just adds to the delay, doesn't it? And this is the team getting to work.
But are they allowed to go to work? All they can do is assess the damage.
Just listening to the scrutineer in the black shirt saying this needs to be replaced or not, and saying that's not going to be replaced in time. So it's now going to be a negotiation between the team and the scrutineer of tape is fine. Tape is stronger than carbon. That it would have left Lamborghini's factory in.
Doors open on Philippe Pretz. Maserati, we saw him in McLaren Trophy action at Spa because he was able, therefore, to race that weekend, GT2 having raced the week before the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Talk to me about this Ginetta and why it's dropped from leading the first lap to effectively fourth place, now back up to third with the demise of Potty.
I think the way it generates its lap time as the Maserati gets hauled away, it's actually quite hard to work out which end it is. I can only assume that's the rear because of the way the door is open, but hard to tell if it's the front or the rear. But yeah, the way the Ginetta generates its lap time, it's obviously so quick in the corner, so the lap time is okay when it's in clear air, but when it's around other cars, if it's unable to carry that speed around the corner because it's got a car in front, the lap time suddenly is compromised, and because it's not quick in a straight, it then loses that position to the inferior car in corner, but superior in the straight. And that's always a frustration when you're in a car like that in any GT category. You always just want to be the fastest in the straight. You're quite happy to be rubbish in the corners because you can hold everyone up and then just blast away like a dragster on the straight parts. And I think that's where the Ginetta seems to be at right now with the balance of performance here at Misano.
It's Marius Eigner out of his KTM, the car that he shares with previous champion Reinhard Koffler. Thumbs up. Marius Eigner's got quicker and quicker over the last couple of seasons. Quite a few of the KTM drivers have raced in the One Make KTM series in Eastern Europe or in the Creventic long distance series and then come into this with more experience. You can see in the white shirt some of the Misano circuit staff going for a look. Right, let's get Bryn on his toes again. He's found Nicola Piri in the pit lane. Let's get to them.
Well, your teammate seems to be doing a bit of a sterling job, but it's a baptism of fire, isn't it? You come to a race like this and you've got so much going on and it's a new circuit for your teammate and yet holding his own.
Yeah, he did really well. I'm really proud of him. He held his own at the start, and to me, like, I'm really proud of him. The only issue is we're having a lot of problems with ABS, especially in free practice, and unfortunately we weren't able to solve this.
Yeah, that's a tough one, especially when the race goes on and it's such hot conditions as well. For yourself, I mean, you've also got the small matter, the SRO GT Academy to take part in too.
Yeah, it's quite a tough competition this year. I think there's a lot of great entries, and we'll just see how the fight goes. It's still open to everyone, so I hope to do well in it. It's looking hard now, but...
Yeah, I mean, how are you approaching it? Is it just look after yourself out on track? Because I know that it's worked in a slightly different way. It's not purely results, is it? It's performance.
To me, honestly, since it's my first year in GT2 and I'm still really young compared to the other competitors, like I'm 17 and everyone else is over 20, I'm kind of using this year to like learn and just make experience and hopefully like participate next year again.
Well, thank you very much. Wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
He's doing all right for his first season in GT2 as well. There is Thomas Ulee's car that was out of the gravel. Of course, that had a similar sort of problem. I mean, I know with far less serious consequences, but it was the same part of the racetrack that he went off. But there was just no suggestion that Potty's car was for slowing down.
No, and again, with these modern cars, it's quite an oddity in terms of the brake, because the brake pedal is rock solid. Like, it doesn't move at all, and that actually gives you great confidence as a driver. You hit it, and you're putting as much forces in as you can be equivalent up to 120, 130 kilos of energy through one of your feet, left or right foot braking, depending on your style. And then suddenly, when that goes all the way to the floor, to the bulkhead, that's the energy that should be going to the discs, obviously stopping the car. And sometimes the only thing you can do is to pump that brake pedal up to try and compress the fluid once more, to try and get some purchase through the braking system. And maybe he's just not had time to pump it up, and maybe that was the difference with Yu Li. And that's what, again, I said at the time with Yu Li, it was like the rear brakes were the only active ones, and that's why it kind of looked like the handbrake was pulled, and he got away with a half spin, whereas Potty was not afforded that luck.
10 minutes ago, the red flag flew. So in those 10 minutes, the car's out of the way and the barrier is being attended to. It's not necessarily just the tyres in front. It's putting the arm code back up behind, if that's suffered as a legacy of that impact. And a speed roughly to hit that, any feel?
120, 130 Ks would have been my guess. You're 220 there before you brake. Maybe 80 of that was lost as the ever busy, it seems, at Misano. Backhoe loader there is trying to just pit.
I couldn't do late braking. Yeah.
So Yu Li talking about not being able to.
The pace is so good. And then later, like I think on the 4th lap, he got overheated and that was it. Okay. Yeah, and then once it happened one time, the 2nd lap I spun again over there because it just locks up and just wants to spun. Yeah, so luckily I was able to start and continue. Okay.
So yeah, exactly kind of what I thought in terms of that. You could see he got 4 laps and then the brakes started to go away and it was causing him to spin. So he's supposedly happy about it, but at least he's got a way of forming a plan of attack.
Let's get back to the pits. I think Bryn has found Laura van den Hengel, part of the Iron Dames squad. Laura back this weekend in her Porsche, and that car currently in 13th. She's with Bryn.
One of the most striking liveries out on track, it has to be said. Now, for yourself, we know conditions are tough out here. It seems to be the story that conditions have been tough all season.
Yeah, it's of course obvious because of the heat, but we are really lacking speed with the Cup car. We know it before, but yeah, I've been eaten during the first lap, so it's really tough to get in position and battle, and so a double tough weekend.
Is there anything you can do to mitigate that sort of that problem? Is there anything you can change to set up or anything like that?
No, the organization maybe can change the BOP a bit, but we got all we've got, and we pushed in the qualify, and both of us, it's the max. Yeah.
Talk to me a bit about the conditions then, because we know it's very hot. We know that the track is evolving. It's going to happen like this all the way through, and we've dealt with these sorts of conditions, particularly every round we've been to this season. Yeah, so I've been trained for the heat, so I can handle that. Unluckily, we have some issues with the system, the air system. So we have like a little bit air system in the car, makes it even harder. But yeah, I'm made for it. I've been trained for it, so that should not be the issue. I need a cool vest, but you're doing well. Good luck. Thank you. Yeah.
Laura van den Hengel's Porsche, as I say, 13th. Women Driven by Dreams, the Iron Dames programme created by Deborah Meyer, and it's been a great asset to female racing drivers, taking them to the Le Mans 24 Hours, for example, and one or two, because Iron Dames is not as active in car racing this year. It's got a busy show jumping programme as well, but not as active in car racing this year. But for example, people like Michelle Gatting, who've been part of the Iron Dames, off doing their own thing, other drives for Porsche as a manufacturer in Michelle's case. Sarah Bovey, who will take over from Laura van den Hengel, again, has been part of the Iron Dames programme and was the Grand Marshal at Le Mans, the first non-winner to have that accolade afforded. You see the barrier work a moment ago, still being done. And I think we're getting pretty close, amazingly enough, to getting things back underway. Sterling work here being done by the Misano staff. Looks like the barrier is being dragged back upright, and then more posts put in behind to keep it upright. You can see Niels Vittich, the GT3 race director, third in from the far left. He knows about barrier damage from here, from last year. You've also got the local officials, you've got the circuit staff having a look, but Niels there, whereas the race director, of course, overseeing this in race control. So Niels will be able to say, yeah, give it another 5 minutes, or we're just putting some more posts in. And he will also be able to say, because of his experience in this and Formula 1 and the DTM, for example, I'm happy with that, or I'm not happy. You need to do something else.
Yeah, and that's really what we saw last year, wasn't it? It looked like we were getting close, and he came back for another inspection when I'm still not happy with this, and we had to get, I think it was another stack of tyres, wasn't it, put in front of the barrier damage. Right. And we got back to racing in safe conditions, and that's the balance Niels Vicic has to go. Of course, safety is always priority, but he has to find the happy medium between a workable solution for all parties involved.
So empty cars now, drivers getting some fresh air, and the race currently being led with the demise of Antoine Potti by Celia Martin. We'll try and hear from Celia while we have this enforced break. She will give that car over to that man in the white top, Luca Piri. But Celia Martin's stint not done yet, because if we go the full distance, she's still got at least another 5 minutes or so behind the wheel of the car. But as I say, it could be that when the barrier damage is sorted, there's an instruction from race control that is, you do your driver change now, and we'll restart for a shorter amount of time. But we'll wait and see exactly what's decided upon. There's a very warm Roberto Pampanini up from the back of the grid to 10th place. Right, Celia Martin is the race leader, and for a GT2 debut, this ain't half bad going. The only downside is that you end up having to talk to Bryn Lucas.
Celia, it's a pleasure to talk to you here on the grid. It's your debut. I mean, we call it a baptism of fire coming into something like this and having to deal with the heat, the conditions, and everything like that.
Yes, definitely. I thought when I look at the weather, 30 degrees, okay, but somehow it feels like they had some extra degrees here. But yeah, it's tough, to be honest. But yeah, it's racing sometimes, so you have to do with it.
Before coming here, what was your experience of Misano?
My experience, actually, it was the first time 2 years ago when I did my first test with the Iron Dames in the Lamborghini GT3. So it was a long time ago. But, you know, after this year was not much racing, I just wanted to enjoy it. That was really only the target, to just have fun and enjoy it. And again, for Stefan, I cannot thank him enough. It's amazing. Thanks a lot, because this is good for the mental.
It certainly is good for the mental side of the things. We were talking to your teammate at the very start of this one, not that long ago, in fact, and he was saying how well you've adjusted.
Well, yes, and you know, I had no much choice when I joined the Iron Dames, doing Le Mans Cup and Asian, European and WEC. So this is something I've learned a lot. And I really like the car, to be honest. So it was really good weekend. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
Merci, Celia. Bonne chance.
Thank you.
Yeah, Celia Martin thanking Stefan Rattel, who, if you like, gave up his seat for Celia to drive this weekend. Another way SRO is helping drivers, in a sense, is the SRO GT Academy. We've got 7 drivers across 5 different cars here. Ethan Gildini is part of it, so is Michael Nior, so is Antoine Potti, Nicola Piri, Moritz Wiskirchen in number 110, Mercedes in 112, rather, J-Mo Hurtling, and Adrian Ferrer also. But this SRO GT Academy, really to try to find the next wave of GT stars, and not just recognise them, but give them a leg up into the next level of the sport.
Yeah, a huge leg up, a massive jump up, and they can see the temperatures. But yeah, like you said, Stefan Rattel, the SRO group, realised how strong GT racing has become, what they've created, and they want to make sure that ladder, the platform, stays strong. So the silver graded drivers are eligible for this SRO GT Academy, and there's 4 manufacturers that are registered. So if you're racing in a Mercedes, the Maserati, Ginetta, or the Ligier, which will now become a GT2 car, one of those winning drivers will get a funded seat in the 2027 GT World Challenge Endurance Cup with Mercedes in a GT3 car. And those drivers are scored across a wide criteria. It's not just speed, it is results to on and off track behavior as well, to really find the total package. And yeah, this is a worldwide initiative across all of SRO's global championships. And again, it's just showing you what SRO is doing to try and find that next super pro that can make a profession from driving these great cars.
There's the Celia Martin Maserati, a car that's had different drivers at every event. It started off with Stefan Rossina driving it. The car behind is now driven by Stefan Rossina, and also by Gerhard Tverhauser, going back to the Paul Ricard races. but lots of different drivers coming into the championship, sampling it, and if they enjoy it, then either staying or at least getting set for the following season. Another driver that's had a pretty interesting season thus far, David Thelenius, who was, I think I said outright, winner at Monza in race 2. And there you can see the tyre stacks being sorted. David Thelenius then, double winner at Monza, one of those wins being an outright victory. He's currently 11th in this race, but we can hear from David. Let's get back to the pit lane.
Well, Jamo, it looked like you started pretty much well out of position from where we'd expect. What was going on there? What were the issues?
Yeah, David did the start from P16, I think. At the start he was fighting till P14, did a very good job. Now we stand on P12. Yeah, due to the crash in turn 10, we now have a red flag and hopefully continue the race in a few minutes.
When we look at your championship position, I mean, you're leading the way in your class. Everything seems to go very, very well for yourselves. Looking, the worst position was actually last time out of the P5, but other than that, 3 podiums. It's been looking good.
Yeah, it's been looking very good. Yeah, we keep fighting together, try to make the best what we can, and we're looking forward.
What can you do here this weekend? I mean, ultimately every driver wants to win, but what would you settle for? What would you be happy to leave Italy with?
Yeah, I will be happy. He gave 99%, me too. Yeah, try to carry the best result and yeah, take the points for the weekend.
Thank you, Jamo. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jamo Hurtling you're hearing from, the co-driver of David Thelenius. I think David was ready and then got called away by the team. So we hear from Jamo Hurtling, his co-driver, who will do, hopefully, the second stint, assuming we get to that point. So we are now 20 minutes after that red flag, and drivers awaiting an update. There is the work, which is closer to being finished. Niels Vitic is on his phone now as he strides away from the scene. I think that's a positive sign, because I think he's partly reporting in and partly looking at his watch and saying, yeah, we could start in 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 15.
Yeah, I'd say he's seen the main structure of the barrier go back to a good place, and now he can allow the circuit staff to finish off the tyre barrier effectively, which shielded that barrier, which got folded over effectively, didn't it? And that's why the car went so far up and over the barrier. But yeah, I agree with you. That was hopefully a positive sign. And now they're probably just working out where are they going to go with this race with the time remaining. Are they going to have to trim it down from the 33 minutes 15 seconds when the red flag was flown?
Yeah, as we made the point, there are subsequent support races, McLaren as well as GT4. The McLaren race is due to start in 7 minutes' time. But then there is a break, admittedly for the marshals, between GT4 and GT3. So it is possible that it could go the full distance. It just depends whether, in this heat, the circuit think it's a good idea to keep marshals and indeed cameramen out in sweltering temperatures for even longer. So that's got to be factored in as well. Estimated restart 13 minutes' time. And there is no suggestion yet of a reduced time.
No, so yeah, it's going to be a slight delay. Could put the McLarens out at the same time, couldn't you? Could have a really interesting multi-class race there, as the digger seems to be removing maybe the damaged tyres, and at least with last year's accident being so fresh, I wonder if Misano are slightly more geared up to a quicker barrier repair, because we had to wait for some concrete blocks to be delivered, didn't we, from another venue, I believe.
I think they were here, but we needed a truck from a different venue to be strong enough to take them, because it wasn't just move them. They were on the inside of the turn 1, 2 and 3 sequence, but it was a long journey all the way around to the back of the circuit, and it was the vehicle. If they were just moved, you know, a few feet, that was okay, but nothing was strong enough to lug them all that long way. So about 10 and a bit minutes before we can get cars back moving again. And that's heralded a cheer from those in the grandstand. It might also be that Valentino Rossi has just walked into the pit lane. You never know. But either way, people are content that we're getting closer to the resumption. There's also now, yes, a bit of tree surgery going on. Branches being retrieved.
Actually see some bark has been stripped off one of those trees there.
I think you're right. Right, let us go back to the pit lane. Lawrence Tomlinson and Mike Simpson's Ginetta currently running in 7th spot. And on the resumption, the drivers that had a class win at Spa should be able to make some progress. Let's get back to the pits and talk Ginetta.
So, Lawrence, here we go out on the grid. It's a bit of a hiatus at the moment, this enforced hiatus, and it's baking conditions. And you said, let's do the interview out in the sunshine. Why not?
Yeah, I just want to dry off. I'm wet through.
You've got to get back in the car potentially and do a few more minutes before your teammate takes over. And we've known the performance, and you had a fantastic result recently. So the performance is there between you.
Yeah, we're okay and we're in good shape. Someone crashed into me in qualifying, so we started a bit further back. We made up probably about 3-4 positions, something like that. So second in class now. I think it looks like we'll probably start behind the safety car then. I think mandatory 1 racing lap before the pit stop. So I think that's how it'll roll. We should be out in about 10 minutes, hopefully.
That would be the nice thing. You'll get in the car, you'll do just a couple of laps and pop back in again, and then you can put your feet up and start thinking about tomorrow. How's the car been performing out there?
Yeah, it's good. I've got a long brake pedal, so I'm just having to manage that a little bit. And it's really hot. The air conditioning's coming on and off. It went off after lap 3, and I just thought, it's going to be a interesting half an hour. But it's intermittent, so that's good. The balance is really nice. It's best. It's better balance than we had in quali. So it seems to like full tanks. The BOP we've got here is really tough in a straight line. I mean, pretty much every car on the grid gains 20 laps down, 20 car lengths down the back straight. So we have to go defensive immediately, and then we've got to do a bit of a big Gahuna's job into, I think it's the turn after the 6/6 and then fourth gear into the 4th gear one, yeah.
Luckily, though, you have the performance in the corner, so I'll let you get in there and cool off. But Lawrence, thanks very much. Good luck.
Thank you. See you.
I don't know why Lawrence is moaning. It's like this all the time in Leeds, surely, which is where Ginetta is based these days, just outside Leeds. Right, barrier work virtually done. So we're getting closer to continuing, and therefore drivers putting crash helmets on. Stefan Rossina there, starting to get himself ready to go after being champion last year. There's Luca Piri talking to Thomas Yu Lee and also to his son Nicolo. Stefan Rossina these days, television star, because as well as being the Matador car parts, sort of Slovakian Halford's boss, he's also on the Lions pit on Slovak television, which is their version of Dragon's Den. And he's a lion or a dragon.
Because ABS problem, right? Maybe we lower down the tire pressure. I can probably do 1 lap, but with the current situation, safety car, that's about yours. But I think, based on my knowledge, maybe only 2 push laps, and you have to be super careful. Even with ABS 3, it's probably not going to work. Just saying. But what do you think? Oh man, it got so hot. It locked up. I was doing manual ABS. It couldn't. It got so stiff. It got overheat.
Thomas Yu Lee is very animated about his brake drama. The industrial designer, the American, who's raced in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia prior to coming into European racing. Nicolo Piri stepping across from F4. He raced in the French Championship last year.
Yeah, the problem with ABS, and I think that's what he's saying, is that the ABS actually generates more heat because the brake pad effectively is going on, off, on, off, on, off all the time with a great amount of pressure. So it generates more temperature. So if you can run without the ABS and you manually control the brake pressure, you will keep the brakes in a better condition.
So as we nudge closer to our race resumption, Adrian Ferrer, 4th currently. And he's got a new co-driver for this weekend because Bas Visser will join him. Bas Visser to do the 2nd stint. Bryn has found Adrian Ferrer in pit lane.
Well, you started off in a position that was, a bit too far back for where you'd like, but you've worked your way up the order.
Well, I start P11 because a penalty on quali. I get a crash on qualifying, but yeah, I knew that I have pace to get on the podium or maybe P5, P4. Right now I'm P4. Let's see the restart because it's gonna be difficult. These guys are good. So let's see. I hope I get more positions, and let's see.
You might not have very long in the car though before you have to get out and hand over the steering wheel to your teammate. What can your teammate do, given it is so early in their career when it comes down to this form of racing?
So his first race. Yeah. So I think he's gonna do really well. I don't know because these guys, the Schnitzel guys, are really fast now. But I think maybe a podium, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, I think a podium. But let's see how I restart the race, and let's see.
What's Baz's temperament like? What's his mentality like?
No,
your teammate.
Teammate. He's. I don't know him because it's my first race with him, but I think he's really strong mentally. He defends every position that he can. I think he's gonna do it really well.
Well, we know what your mentality is like, so good luck.
Thank you.
Adrian Ferrer coming back into European racing after a spell in NASCAR-style competition. Now that's Oliver Freimuth's Lamborghini, which Joe was getting quite concerned about earlier, and it rather looks as though the scrutineers have said, no, we're not happy with this. This is your equivalent of your meatball flag. Go and fix it.
Yeah, that's going behind the garages there, trying to get back to the paddock. Interesting timing on that. They've had 30 minutes to potentially do what they're about to do to fix it, and or they've just decided that there's a no chance of it as engines do fire back up. We're about 4 minutes away from the scheduled restart time, which I think has literally just been pushed back.
Are we absolutely sure that they've had all that time to do it, or have they been in Parc Fermé conditions?
Yeah, I've had it a few times where you're like, well, if we break Parc Fermé, we'll get disqualified, and we can't start the race like this, so we get disqualified too. So
yeah, what do you do?
That would have been my maybe view on that one, but yeah, it does look like that car isn't going to come back as we have another form of vehicle here to just bring a new set of tyres for the barrier.
Yeah, I think it's an extra layer, isn't it, that's going to go in front, because if that barrier has taken a whack, then it won't be as strong as it was, so reduce the pressure on it by putting another set of tyres in front. So that, as Joe rightly says, pushes us back by another 5 minutes. And I suppose in part it's only really when that start time can be guaranteed that then they can think about whether we run for 33 minutes or 23 minutes or 15 or whatever it might be. So there's a lot for race control to juggle at the moment.
Yeah, it definitely looks like we're continuing with the start driver, though. That's something that has not happened in terms of doing this as our pit stop element of the race. So I think from there, our options are limited now. We either keep it at 33 minutes or we have a shortened race with a skewed pit window. I think are only real two options now.
So 15:45 now, the time that we're looking at. Lawrence Tomlinson getting set to jump back on board. Grandfather Tomlinson these days. And he, along with Mike Simpson, class winners at Spa. Oliver Freimuth's Lamborghini then looking as though that may well be done. Lawrence suited and booted, but not quite ready to get on board the Ginetta just yet. Wants as much cool as he can. Some shade back in a garage at WRT. So you can see the deformed set of tyres behind the barrier. There's Mikel Muir's Ginetta. Now, why is that being pushed away? That's not a good sign. That should have been third in the queue, but that's another one that's going to the paddock. So that's rather more significant because that's not, to our knowledge, got damaged. Mikel Muir's Ginetta, that's one for Bryn to go and investigate if he can. Mikel Muir from third place, the car being pushed away.
Yeah, we didn't see our reason, did we, before, but maybe as they've gone to refire the car, something has happened there as everyone is trying to stay cool in these warm conditions. And if you are just joining us, it has been very hot here at Misano, still 32 degrees ambient. Humidity still in the 60% as well. So, and there you can see the track temp, my final one, 54 degrees. So very, very warm as you see the heat haze coming off the track on that back straight with the barriers seemingly getting ever closer to being fixed.
Indeed so, but we're losing cars, sadly, with two that we've just seen in quick succession being pushed away. So big disappointment for Mikel Muir and Ethan Gialdini, especially as they're the championship leaders. So that is a significant drama. Now, whether Bryn can research that because the car's now been pushed from the pit lane, we'll have to wait and see. But it might be that Lawrence Tomlinson's team can shed light.
The cars go through a massive development phase from all the manufacturers, but this is right at the top end of where they would have been tested temperature-wise. And we heard from Lawrence earlier, didn't we, saying the air conditioning was intermittent And that can sometimes just be the car deciding what needs the power more, the car to cool itself or the driver, and it's always the driver that gets kicked off. Maybe it's putting a bit more strain through the alternator on that Ginetta, and maybe that's the problem. But yeah, gutting for them considering where they are in the championship.
Right, we're almost down, as you can see. So it is the interloper, Celia Martin, the race leader. Stefan Rossina proving that there is life in the Audi yet in second place, and we understand wishbone damage for number 3 Michael Muir that has taken that car out of the race. Well, it seemed to be going all right. Admittedly, it was losing places, but it has been decreed by the team that it ain't going to restart. So wishbone damage is done for that. So Lawrence Tomlinson clambers on board his car.
Very get in a race car like a granddad, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Very sprightly. So years are nothing to Lawrence. He's been racing for so long now, and I feel like this year he's come back into it with a vengeance. Been racing out in the States as well, and just loving his driving, which is great to see. But yeah, that wishbone damage, I guess, from a curb strike around here at Misano is so easy with the aggression of those yellow curbs on the inside of some of the corners.
Surprised that they've not lived with it. I mean, you know, had the race not been stopped, they would have carried on, but maybe it would have failed. Who knows? There is the camera filming a cameraman as in the pit lane. Our crew very, very busy finding anything to show you while we have this long stoppage. And Stefan Rossina back on board the Audi. Like I say, life in that car, that was one of the very original GT2 cars, and in the right hands, still very competitive. We're almost done. Tyre barriers are back in place. The conveyor belting that anchors them together being drilled into place. Bits of tree, bits of tyre, bits of car all now heaped behind the barriers. But I think we are looking pretty good. We won't be far off. And as a safety car restart, you can fire up the engines and go, and then the race is back on.
Yeah, exactly that. And yeah, a huge amount of tyres being left there. In the UK, that would be rubbish, wouldn't it? But in Italy, it's character, it's beautiful, it's part of the scenery, and yeah, the Italian charm. It's beautiful, this part of the world. Location-wise, I think it's got to be the best GT World Challenge location we go to in Europe for sure. We're, what, 4 or 5 kilometres as the crow flies to the Adriatic coast.
We are definitely starting at 15:45, so that is in 3.5 minutes' time. And as now, drivers are good to go. Celia Martin, Stefan Rossina and Adrian Ferrer gaining a place under a red flag. That's not something you often do, but he's there. The incident zone is cleared. And that has taken from the red flag flying to the restart time 40 minutes, which ain't bad going.
No, I would actually agree with that one. When I first saw it, I was very fearful of where they'd even start to recover the car, let alone how they would repair the barrier that that car had pushed a big hole through. But yeah, just looking down the order now, it's a hard race to call, isn't it? Because we've got effectively an AM car in the outright lead. We then have 3 pro cars. Rossina had all right pace, but not amazing. You're now missing, so it's now Ferrier in that 3rd place Mercedes from Philip Pret. So yeah, it's a hard one to call, and you'd say probably the Audi of Rossina is going to be in a pretty good place after this pit stop.
Yeah, it's also going to come down, though, isn't it, to the pace of Lorenzo Marcucci versus Luca Piri as the incoming drivers. Neither of those cars have any extra time to serve in the pits. Adrian Ferrer has to serve 7 compensation seconds, so he will drop away. So we are about to be 2 minutes away from the resumption of the race, and there's absolutely nothing to suggest that it will not be the full 33 minutes and 15 seconds what are on the clock still.
Yeah, so it seems to be working to that. They shouldn't adjust their fuel usage at all, because we did have a slight safety car period, so that would have saved them some fuel. And as you said, David, as soon as we go back to green, the clock will start once more.
Yeah, indeed. So pit lane officials just making sure that everybody is with an engine running, that there aren't mechanics doing what they shouldn't, because they are under part ferme conditions. And the safety car crew are aboard, and everybody's engine is fired up. So very shortly, the safety car team will get the instruction to put the lights on, to then leave the pit lane. And by the time they've done 1 lap, we will probably be at the half-hour mark, so, or 30 minutes to go, and that's when the window opens. So I think what we'll next be told is that the pit window may be delayed by a lap. That was what Lawrence Tomlinson was suggesting. But again, all these, as you said, plates to spin in race control here.
Yeah, exactly. We typically see when the window opens under a safety car, you can't box before you've done a lap under green, so you can't follow the safety car into pit lane effectively.
Another look down the pit lane. Maserati, KTM, Ginetta, Mercedes, and Maserati. This time the safety car, as the crew is ready. So 30 seconds and counting before they are able to leave the pit lane. The lights are on. As long as the lights are flashing atop the safety car, it means that we are under race neutralisation procedure. And so the countdown continues from Noé Santa Maria, the race director for GT2 European Series, powered by Pirelli. At the back of the queue is Patrick Michelier's Ferrari. And although we didn't get a close look at Antoine Potti's Maserati, I'm fearful that will not be racing tomorrow either. Race resumes then, and we go from 33 minutes and 15 seconds. That was what was on the clock, and that's what we have now. So safety car to red flag, to safety car restart. We are back in business here at Misano.
See if everyone else gets going. Of course, we've lost 2 cars under this red flag condition. One to obvious bodywork damage on the frame of sort of self-induced, and then your Ginetta being pushed away with that wishbone damage we're talking about. So a couple of cars lost on top of Potty. We talked, well, we heard from you, Lee, didn't we, talking about his brake issue. So there's a lot to keep an eye on this remaining part of the race, and we're not even close to halfway through it just yet.
So field out on track, and the race back on. I know we're under the safety car, but this is all part of the 50 minutes of racing. So the field here working its way down towards the left-hander to Quetchia, turn 8. And then the run up towards the incident zone, turns 9 and 10. Adrian Ferrer there, gained a place. There's Philippe Pret looking for a Masters win, but he's got to go up against Celia Martin here. So there's some work to do in the second stint. Of course, Philippe Pret stays in that car, whereas there's going to be the driver change for Celia Martin to give way to Luca Piri. And there's your incident zone all clear now. So, looking to see how many laps we're going to have behind the safety car. And if indeed it's going to be one more, then that will take us to the window, but it wouldn't be a surprise if the window were not then postponed. There is Celia Martin ahead of Stefan Rossina, and Adrian Ferrer then making progress all the time. So started 11th, 4th at the red flag, 3rd on the restart, or the resumption if you prefer, and pit window is delayed by 3 minutes. So the pit window is going to be postponed, and this will be the longest 50-minute race because we've already had 58 minutes and 48 seconds of it when they came over the line.
Yeah, and it's hard for the second driver now to kind of get themselves G'd up. They've been waiting and waiting to get aboard the car, and the teams as well have to go through a slick pit stop. And looking at the teams, you have to say LP Motorsport will be happy so far. They've got 3 cars inside the top 4, haven't they? 2 Maseratis and the Rossina Audi, really strong.
Safety car in at the end of this lap. So we'll go back racing, but then, as we've been saying, the pit window slightly delayed, just so that there is some racing before they are allowed in the pits, rather than just coming in as one long line. So there's Adrian Ferrer on his toes. The interest now is going to be to see which drivers stay out for as long as possible, because if you're quicker than your incoming driver, then you would want to be out there.
Yeah, there's not many in that group. The only one is a bit of an unknown is the 88 potentially of Rossina, who could get some clear air to go, and the Mercedes of Ferrier basically are the 2 that stand out.
Yeah, because both of those drivers are experienced in Rossini's case, very experienced GT hand, or in Ferrer's case, the only driver of the two that's raced a GT2 car. So he's got the upper hand, so they may as well exploit that, while Bas Visser is having to get used to GT2 machinery. So here are the cars then now, making their way down through turn 11, Curvoni, up through turn 12, the tighter right of 13, and then the Curva del Carro 14. That's your hairpin. Maserati lead car will be in the pits this time, the safety car, and then the leading race Maserati with Célia Martin at the wheel, heading then for the timing line to get the race back underway. 29 minutes of the race to go. And the safety car lights out, goes for the pit lane, but to make the point again, you can't do your mandatory stop yet. The window for those has not yet opened. So Célia Martin gets ready to pull the pin. The lights go green. We're back racing at Misano then, and Célia Martin accelerates away over the line, chased by Stefan Rossina and then Adrian Ferrer in third. And Ferrer goes one side and then the other. Rossina stands his ground on the inside of the Mercedes, can't find a way through, but not for the want of trying. And Rossina now is going to be well worth watching because he wants to go for the race lead, but he needs to defend second place.
Yeah, this is losing both of them time as well. This gives Martin a chance just to be able to concentrate on her own line. And it seems like Rossina's going in hot to these corners as the Mercedes does the same into turn 4. It's actually now Rossina who seems to have the run potentially on our race leader.
And Ferrer dropping back, isn't he? They're coming out of the left-hander of 6, so along the back straight with there Rossina lining up for a go from a long way back. He thinks about it long and hard and stays alongside through the corner, but it's going to be the outside line up towards 9, and eventually Rossina thinks, no, I'm not going to do that, so he comes back into the draft behind Célia Martin, then thinks about the inside line for turn 10, and that doesn't quite pay out for him. But now, if he gets a good run, there is the chance of making the move down the back part of the circuit, heading towards Curvoni then. So it is Célia Martin in the lead. Stefan Rossina right there behind, but dropping away fractionally. And Adrian Ferrer is right back with them, and Philippe Pret fourth, getting away from the traffic behind him.
Yeah, but the flow of this top three has been crazy, isn't it? It looked like Martin got away and Rossina was on the back foot and it was going to be the Mercedes, and now it's kind of flowed both ways back, where you would say the Mercedes looks very strong once more at the end of this lap. Pit window still not open for these leaders. I think it might open halfway through the pack, so some cars might be able to dive in. They can be in the pit lane in 3 seconds time.
Race leaders go through, pit window is open, so let's see who the first taker is. They've all made one pit stop, in quotes, but that was, of course, under those red flag conditions, so as yet, nobody venturing in as they go thundering past. Then down towards turn 1, there's Lara van den Hengel's Porsche going through, and as they come out the other side of turn 3, it is still Célia Martin ahead, but Stefan Rossina trying everything he possibly can. As Maserati leads Audi, leads Mercedes-AMG. We do have pit callers. One of them is Wilhelm Kühne, the other is Thomas Yu Lee.
Yeah, so those cars at the back were able to get in a lap earlier, so that will give them the undercut. That could be worth 2.5 seconds, potentially getting a faster teammate in. And of course, we don't expect to see a tyre pressure adjustment because the cars haven't been running under green flag conditions for long. So less work for the team to do potentially in this very long pit stop. Remember, they have to be in pit lane for 155 seconds, which is 2 minutes and 35.
Right, so there is Wilhelm Kühne giving way to Moritz Wiskirchen in the SRO Motorsport by Schnitzelalm. Mercedes-AMG as up front. Dare one suggest now that Célia Martin has, to use the phrase, steadied the ship, because she's getting away a bit from Stefan Rossina, who in turn, certainly on this part of the racetrack, looks like he's sorted out Adrian Ferrer.
Yeah, I'd agree, and actually Philippe Pret has maybe closed in on the back of that third place Mercedes, and seeing battles raging down. Here's Lawrence Thompson, spoke to him in the pit lane. He's on the back of Eigner, who started the race well, but seems to have struggled on the restart. Remember, that car was in front of Philippe Pret, and he dives the pit lane. So does Tomlinson, and so does one of the other Maseratis as well, of Pampanini. Yes.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And also in David Thelenius behind. So Stefan Rossina now takes over the race lead. Adrian Ferrer 1.2 seconds behind. And now the incoming drivers for these cars are going to give us a very different second part of the race. The safety car restart of Roberto Pampanini has been noted, so there may have been an infraction there. Pampanini currently is in, and he's about to give way to Mauro Calamia. Winners 2 years ago, but they've had a pretty tough season earlier on. They came into the championship with a win at Barcelona at the back end of 24. So there you can see these long pit stops. They're all done to a regulation time, but when the clock hits 0, they are away. Now that car Was that Thomas Yu-Lee? I was going to say that looks like it was a relatively quick pit stop, but
stopped the lap
he
before.
did, exactly right. He was at the tail end of the field, so he's able to get away in advance of everybody else. But there were two that came in at that point. Yeah, there's the other Mercedes going out now. So that's Moritz Viskirchen. So those are the two that stopped, as Joe rightly says, the previous lap, because they were the back markers, and get their pit stops done nice and early. As you look at Rosina then, race leader, and this is a qualifying lap really for him, isn't it, to try to clear by the overcut Luca Pirri.
Exactly that, and the first two pit stops done perfectly, just a second over. So like I said, they've got to be 2 minutes and 35 as the standard, plus then some compensation time as Rosina does box, and is Ferrier going to do the same in the Mercedes? There's time to squeeze 2 more laps if the cars do want it. They don't need to box this lap.
And Ferrer stays out, look, so he takes up the race lead in the NM Motorsport Mercedes. Philippe Pret goes through into second place. That's Mauro Calamia getting ready to go. The next one down the pit lane then, that's Stefan Rosina. And Sarah Bovey good to go in the Iron Dames Total Energy car. So Luca Pirri takes over the lead car. Stefan Rosina arrives. And eventually the door opens for Lorenzo Marcucci to head in that direction. Where is he? Keeping cool for as long as possible, I think. There's no sign of him on the pit apron. So Luca Pirri rejoins the race, and J-Mo Hurtling was about to rejoin as well. Big, big, big slide there for Nicolo Pirri. So it wasn't just Thomas Yu-Lee having a pretty torrid stint. Incoming co-driver Nicolo Pirri, the same thing. And look at the way that Moritz Viskirchen's Mercedes is easily able to go on through on the inside at 16. Much more stable a car, but he goes very, very wide.
Yeah, so this is our race. This car now is going to reclaim the lead. Those first cars to stop were going to be a long way back off this. They were at the back of the field, so that was to be expected. The undercut, like I said, 2 to 3 seconds, but maybe that Maserati nursing its brakes. Is that going to be a story for the rest of this race if we do stay green? Maserati seemingly unable to brake hard and late.
So at the end of the pit window, we'll start to see what the real gaps are between cars, and that will give us a better idea of who is catching whom and who might be pulling away from whom. But I think the fact that all the gaps disappeared with that red flag has certainly helped the chances of some. So there, aboard 88 is Lorenzo Marcucci for his GT2 debut. And there, through the traffic, is Nicolo Pirri, getting himself up past the KTM.
Look how much time he's lost to that Mercedes already, though. They're really having to nurse his car, and Yu-Lee was pretty animated, wasn't he? But I can see why now.
Yeah, it's not compliant, is it? But it's interesting the way that that Maserati has had its problems. We know that Potti's Maserati has had problems, but without tempting fate, the car that Luca Pirri is now in, Celia Martin that led the race, has not had those same issues. Maybe yet, maybe never, but interesting that some have and other Maseratis haven't. Away back into the race goes 88, now Lorenzo Marcucci at the wheel, and this is going to be an interesting stint to see what he could do in a GT2 car. Yeah,
exactly, as the Rockash Petrolisa car is in pit lane now. Quite a quiet pit lane, isn't it? Still some time remaining. We have 3 more cars still to give us a pit stop, and then we will know where exactly our race leader will be, as we can see them rejoining now.
So that is going to be Luca Pirri ahead of Marcucci. Track limit warnings now all reset for everybody. That takes place during the pit window. So when you pit, the track limit warnings are reset, so these drivers can go, if you like, with what their co-drivers may have done. Right, we need a pit stop from Adrian Ferrer, and that's going to be interesting, as very wide there goes Reinhard Koffler. He's got the Mercedes behind him with J-Mo Hurtling and then Moritz Viskirchen.
Mike Simpson is on it, purple sector 1, but the gap visibly much smaller to the lead, as we see someone with some style points coming in backwards. And was that Calamia on his outlap? He's just taken over Pampanini, and he's done well to rotate that and not hit anything, which looked like out of turn 15 into the last corner.
Mauro Calamity, very nearly, but Calamia just about gets away with that. Of all the people you would not think would have a spin, it's him, because he's one of the more experienced drivers, many years of GT and sports car racing in Europe and in America, Mauro Calamia. Yeah, you're right about Mike Simpson, because an absolute best and a purple, followed by a personal best as well, all helping him to gain on the traffic ahead. So, Adrian Ferrer, race leader, but he owes us a pit stop. 115 is now Neil Montserrat, the NM of NM Racing Team. That's Petrolisa joining the race then, so he takes over that car from Andres Rockosh. So over the line, Adrian Ferrer, still yet to pit, goes through. Luca Pirri is now ahead of Lorenzo Marcucci by 3.7 seconds, and Mike Simpson is a further 9/10ths back. So depending on where Ferrer blends in, it is Pirri, Marcucci and Simpson right now on track for second, third and fourth, if we assume that the Ferrer Mercedes would keep the race lead. But Mike Simpson's last lap was a 1:36.2, and he's lapping quicker than those ahead of him.
Yeah, second quicker than Ferrer as well. So the overcut is going to be stronger. Simpson seemingly using up some track limits. He was very wide out the last corner, trying to use that momentum to make sure he's okay. And yeah, Mike going well in that black Ginetta. And I just wonder where the performance of these cars are. The Ginetta's going to be the lightest car on the grid. In these sort of conditions, that's what you want.
Yeah, Mike Simpson, very experienced driver, demon in karting before he came into car racing. And now not only makes Ginetta's go well on the track, but in the boardroom as well, the MD of Ginetta. So Mike, good proud Yorkshireman, accelerates down towards Curvoni, edging nearer to the back of Lorenzo Marcucci here. As you can see in the background, Moritz Viskirchen getting himself up through traffic, but Petrolisa hanging on a position. This is for position.
I think this red Mercedes, which is going to get overtaken now, is going to get a penalty as well. Its pit stop was too short,
right,
1.1 seconds under, so even with the 1 second tolerance joker, too fast. And that was the other point I was going to make about Mike Simpson. The CMR team have got the fastest legal pit stop so far, which has definitely helped that 62 Ginetta.
Absolutely right. That's Philippe Pret rejoining. And of course, there's a class battle between him and Luca Pirri for Masters Honours as well. So, Adrian Ferrer in the pit lane. So the car that had taken the notional race lead now boxes. This is for second place on the road right now, where you've still got Marcucci ahead. And down the pit lane comes back into view Philippe Pret. So he's actually dropped quite a long way down the order again on the pit stops there.
Yeah, with his success penalty, of course, or our compensation time that we must call it, this modern day of motorsport, has really lost out there. So he'll need to get eyes forward and start attacking.
Yeah, he had to serve an extra 10 seconds over everybody else. Neil Montserrat there, getting up the inside of Jack Russell's KTM. Sarah Bovey has already gone ahead, but the KTM just able to get out of the turn 6 corner ahead, but not for long. I think Neil Montserrat's Mercedes-AMG is about to come storming by, as there is Pret then, back on track. Finding himself under a lot of pressure right now as they make the run again up into turn 9. You can see the car that's doing all the pressuring, and that is Ferrer, and he's got a problem. That is the car that was leading, and now looks like it's a retirement. In the way that they're looking into the engine bay, I wonder whether there's a lot of oil everywhere.
Yeah, there's some smoke coming out, isn't there? We've said it already, these cars go through development, but this is right at the top end, temperature-wise, of where they've ever been. And the problem is when you stop, you get all the heat soak, no airflow, and suddenly something can boil over quite quickly. So it looks like we're going to have to completely rule out a chance for that 116 Mercedes to be on the podium by the end of this race.
So Luca Pirri there is the race leader in real terms. In second place now, it is Lorenzo Marcucci. Third is Mike Simpson. So that's your leading cars covered by, give or take, 5 seconds. Then you've got Reinhard Koffler ahead of J-Mo Hertling, Moritz Viskirchen, Mauro Calamia, and then Petrolisa. Then Philippe Pret, who's dropped a long way back to 10th. So 10th overall and third in class. For Masters Honours, Luca Pirri is away up the road because he's got a monster gap over Liscia. Fastest lap of the race, still that of Antoine Potti just before he had his accident earlier on in the race. But Luca Pirri last time did a 1:36.5, Marcucci the same, and Mike Simpson's previous lap was slightly slower.
Yeah, I wonder if Mike now, as I was about to say something wrong, because he's just done the fastest sector 1. I was about to say, I wonder if Mike is now just biding his time looking after the tyres, but the Ginetta very strong in sector 1, sector dominated by corners, and then it seems to struggle somewhat in sector 2, which is straight line performance. We're hearing it's a hose leak from the 116 BMW, the sister car to the Mercedes on your screen, so some of the water coolant is leaking out, I'd imagine. It's got too hot, over pressured, and something has failed via too much pressure in the line.
And you're right about the 294 Petrolisa Mercedes pit stop. That's under investigation right now. So Mike Simpson, yes, the one to watch, as also Sarah Bovey loses out to Neil Montserrat, who is now in 11th place as he goes through, picks up the spot. And Sarah Bovey tries to fight back, and as she does so, Jack Russell, terrier-like, snapping at their heels like a dog with a bone, comes up towards turn 15. The Porsche trying to fight back, but I think Sarah Bovey now, with all the experience, is going to be able to use that to get away in a straight line. Even if she can't clear Neil Montserrat, she will get away from that KTM, which again, as we've seen in other places, good through corners, but here doesn't look so good in a straight line.
It's the Austrian version of the Ginetta, isn't it? They follow similar characteristics. A huge snap of oversteer there for Bovey. The car looks very soft underneath her. She's having to work hard. Luca Piri at the moment working hard to keep his race lead. Wonder what's going through his mind. What sort of management is he doing? We're talking about the brakes. What can you do? There's a big difference in driving style in terms of if you left foot or right foot brake. Naturally, if you left foot brake, there's less delay as you come off the throttle with your right foot and you generate more heat. So sometimes teams will ask you to fuel save, which also helps the brakes. And you go to right foot braking to add some delay as you go off throttle onto brake. It just allows the car some coast phase, and that's the easiest way to maybe take out 50 to 100 degrees centigrade of brake temp. These brakes will be running at 650 to 750 degrees centigrade.
As there's the Pro-Am leader then, Mike Simpson at the wheel of the Ginetta, the surviving Ginetta, of course, now. So going strongly, that car, and Reinhard Koffler behind, also charging. The safety car restart of J-Mo Hertling is under investigation as well, so quite a lot for race control to look at, pit stops and restarts.
Yeah, it's been a busy 50-minute race for them, which will last well over an hour and 40 minutes when you're in its conclusion. And the Mercedes seems to be relatively consistent, you'd say, for the SRO Motorsport team. And they've been just going ever so slightly forward, lap by lap, getting more and more competitive. And J-Mo Hertling here, 5th place now, and has got Eigner's teammate now, Koffler, in his sights.
Yeah, you can see why there's a different team of stewards, can't you, for GT3 and 4 and GT2. So there is J-Mo Hertling then. He's going after Koffler. 1.4 seconds is the gap. Luca Piri still leads, 2.6 seconds, and actually the gap down last time, but Lorenzo Marcucci chasing. Has he got enough time? He's got 12.5 minutes. I think he has. Marcucci could yet get there, as here you can see Calamia all over the back of Moritz Wiskirchen now, as they in turn accelerate their way left. That was coming out of Quercia, now towards the turn 9-10 sequence. The Curva Tramonto, out of which they're back on the power again, down towards Curvoni.
The other thing you don't want to do if you've got brake issues, follow another car closely as well. True. So maybe that's an issue for Calamia, not getting the ambient air temperature, even though it's 32 degrees, be a lot cooler than the hot air coming off the car in front. So sometimes you'll see cars catch up, and if they're unable to overtake within a couple of laps, they have to either get into the fresh air or back out to try and bring everything back down to a happy medium temperature-wise.
The battle you're looking at right now is for 6th and 7th in the race, but also for 4th and 5th within Pro-Am. Masters still being led by Luca Piri, but the gap is down again, 2.1 seconds. Marcucci is coming. So it won't be long, I think, before we do start to see a proper battle. There is a time penalty going the way of Mauro Calamia for track limits. There is a time penalty going the way of Mike Simpson for track limits. 5 seconds. And bearing in mind they've all been reset after the pit window, that's on them, not them and their co-driver. That is purely on the man behind the wheel right now.
Yeah, I saw Mike attacking it on his outlap in his first fly. I thought that was a clever tactic to try and go, but then the problem is you've used up some of your lives, and then you make an honest mistake and run wide. Race control don't mind if it was gaining an advantage or a mistake. It is deemed to be wide, and problem is we've still got over 10 minutes remaining, and the penalties certainly ramp up quickly on that 6th offence. It's 5 seconds, 9th it's 10, and then 11 it'll be a drive-through.
And Mike's under pressure, so there's a chance that he would run wider while he's having to defend like this, as you see the leaders come down towards us. So Mike Simpson with the penalty, less likely to be a winner. Calamia has also now been given a drive-through for a safety car restart infringement, so he's had a spin, 5 seconds for track limits, and a drive-through. What a stint he's had.
I don't think the drive-through's for him though, right? It must have been Pampanini for the safety car restart. But
yes, indeed. Yeah, but
always blame the pro. That's what the AM will do. The AM pays for it, the pro takes the blame.
Yeah, but unfortunately he's going to cop for having to serve that penalty, as you say, but it would have been Pampanini from earlier on. And there is Reinhard Koffler then, who in real terms is third, because with the penalty to be applied to the Ginetta, he's gained that place, but he wants to do it on the track if he can. Luca Piri to Lorenzo Marcucci. It's down by another 10th. It's down to 2 seconds. It's coming down, but not quickly enough. And Marcucci is there. Look, Koffler oh so close to getting up the inside of the Ginetta. And while they're squabbling, J-Mo Hurtling is getting closer to them in the Mercedes.
Yeah, J-Mo Hurtling, fastest man on track last time round, so he's going to be really over the back, and that's a potential podium position that the KTM wants. But I think J-Mo Hurtling in the Mercedes, which will be just under the drone as that KTM kicks out a huge bit of flame, and that would have been a track limit there at 6 for the KTM. You can see how easily it's done, as the sky seems to be getting darker in the background.
Yeah, 6 track limit warnings for Mike Simpson, but J-Mo Hurtling is on 5 and Viskirchen is on 5, so there are plenty of them now that need to be careful. In fact, Marcucci's on 3, the man chasing for the race lead. So there's Mike Simpson's Ginetta. It's running 3rd on the road, but with that time penalty to be added on at the end of the race. And the race is now 9 minutes away from a checkered flag. Hurtling in the background getting a little bit closer as well. And there you can see Reinhard Koffler tries to go all the way around the outside of the Ginetta, which he does, coming off Curvoni at 11. Great move, that.
Really brave to send it round there. 260, 270 kilometers an hour, hard, fair driving. He was wide and off the track. It's not a track limit monitored area, but race control could see that as gaining an advantage by being off circuit.
You're right about that black cloud. Are we in for a thunderstorm? Are we in for a big shower all of a sudden with leaden clouds to deposit their wares? Well, there's the, briefly, you've got a glimpse of the weather map, and it is suggesting there's a storm in the area. Right, Koffler then 3rd, Simpson 4th, Hurtling 5th, and the Ginetta good at the start of this stint. Again, going back to what Lawrence Tomlinson was saying in the interview about the BOP, looks like that's kicking in here, just like it did for Mikel Nior in that first stint, because he's losing places is Mike, and Petrolicia's short pit stop, a 12-second time penalty for him. Piri to Marcucci, right down, 1.3, lead battle well and truly joined now.
Yeah, where's the Audi stronger than the Maserati? That's the next bit. The Maserati have seemed very strong in the straight lines. The Maserati's always kind of the happy medium. It's strong everywhere, but this weekend seems strong in a straight. That could give Piri a good defence, and really we've got an interesting top 3 overall, haven't we? Because they're all the class leaders, all 3 classes represented on the overall podium.
Calamia, number 7, has had another 5-second track limit penalty given. And now also Lorenzo Marcucci is on his final warning in 88 in 2nd place. Right, there is Petrolicia ahead of Philippe Pret, ahead of Nicolas Piri, but of course Licia will drop down, won't he, with that 12 seconds for the short pit stop. So what we have over the line is going to be radically different from what the actual result turns out to be.
Yeah, and I think the weather radar is, this rain is coming our way, but I don't think it will affect this race. But the next McLaren race could get quite interesting quite quickly, as Pret is trying to get the undercut to go and get down the inside, just about gets it stopped. That is close between the 2 cars, hard and fast, clean racing so far.
And Pret looking one side and then the other, but Petrolicia fending him off. This on the road is for 2nd in class. Never mind the fact that Mercedes has a penalty. Pret then all over the back of him. Behind Pret is Nicolas Piri. So the Maseratis ganging up on the Mercedes-AMG. 6.5 minutes, give or take. They come over the line, and Piri looking for a go on the inside of Pret, but again, just can't find the room.
Yeah, Mike Simpson another 5 seconds as well. Sorry if you've said that. I was just scanning through all the messages, trying to keep up with the admin. The track limits are coming hard and fast. I think 62's got another one, so Mike Simpson maybe has had 3 5 seconds, which my quick math says 15.
And the same for Calamia. They're both doing it sort of in tandem. So yeah, they're both now on 3 5-second penalties.
That's hard work, and it shows you how difficult these very powerful, relatively low grip cars are to hustle around here at Misano.
And frustration, because Mike Simpson, having done such a good job at the start of the stint, now with these track limit penalties drops further and further down the order. And he would say, yes, but you know, I was only marginally out, and the officials will say, but it's up to you to manage it. I know people get bored of us talking about track limits, but they have radically changed the way race results come over the last few seasons since they became a thing globally. Initially, it seemed to be a UK campaign by a circuit owner to look after his grass, but then they've been picked up globally, and track limits now very much a big issue all round. There is a penalty for J-Mo Hartling as well in 5th place, a drive-through for a safety car restart infringement for him. So we might as well just talk about people that aren't being penalised. And at the moment, it's Luca Piri, who's only got 1 track limit warning, and he's still in the lead of the race. But the gap is 0.8 of a second, and here we go. Marcucci out of turn 3. He's getting closer to the lead car.
Both run by LP Racing, both mid-engine cars, both quite different to drive from what the drivers say. The Audi seems to have good low-end torque. The Maserati then gets going. Aero platforms relatively similar, but these cars always generating lap times in different ways, and that's what makes the racing so interesting.
Mike Simpson's now on a 4th penalty, and he's on 10 track limit warnings. Makes one wonder whether all is well with the car, because if Mike is going wide that often, incurring that many penalties, with all due respect, you'd say that that's not really him.
Yeah, you'd also say it's a radio issue, because you would expect a driver to understand that they're getting these warnings, and maybe there's some kind of issue there as Brett's going to try and send it around the outside. I think this could get done. It does not. He just couldn't keep it on the black stuff. Runs wide, could even lose a place to the other Maserati. He does. So he was on the front foot, but unfortunately it puts him on the back foot position-wise.
Yeah, one up, one back then for Philippe Pret, as past him has gone Nicola Piri. And Pret is still going to inherit 2nd in class behind Luca Piri, but Petrolicia will be ahead on the road, but he's got this 12-second penalty for a short pit stop. So a rather nervous team looking on, as there you can see Pret again trying to have a go at the Nicola Piri Maserati to get his place back. Down towards turn 15 they come. I think Mike Simpson is up to 6 now. Sorry to keep mentioning this, but he's on 11 track limit warnings, and the penalties just keep coming and coming and coming for him. Meanwhile, Maserati battle is on, and this now is for the race lead, and Lorenzo Marcucci is close, but he's only got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see where he picks the battle. It's always harder overtaking a teammate because you cannot afford to hit each other. Different classes as well, remember. You would almost say that Luca Piri is more focused on his class win than the overall, and that's an easy thing to say in the cold light of day from the commentary box, but when you're in the car, a race win is a race win, and you're never going to concede that. And at the moment, it just seems like he's got the measure of the Audi. The Audi faster over a lap, but now the Audi's caught up. It's unable to keep that momentum and really be on the rear bumper of that Maserati.
Mauro Calamio has just been given another 5-second penalty, so that's 5 sets for him, and 6 penalties now given to Mike Simpson. Philippe Pret's being given a driving standards flag. Right, 2 minutes are on the clock, flying lap, minute and 36, so they're going to cross the line. Time just for 2 more laps, and that is Calamia with a problem, slowly making his way towards the pit lane. And he may well just park it. He's got so many penalties, he's going to drop way back. Now also Nicola Piri has got a 5-second penalty for track limits. So Piri, who was involved in the fight for 7th place, there he is. He will fall away on corrected times. So 1 more lap at the end of this for the race leaders, and it is Luca Piri ahead of Lorenzo Marcucci. There they are. The gap when they started this lap was 0.6 of a second, and Marcucci is having a go, but he's got to be careful, given that he's on his last warning.
Yeah, the mid-floor of that Maserati just starting to flap underneath as well, so a bit of damage there. The car's right at the end of their tyre life as well now, so these drivers having to work super hard. Piri looks like he's defending, doesn't he? So he's definitely not going to give up this overall race lead. Is the Audi going to get the undercut? This is going to be a drag race down the back straight.
It's also, of course, not only for the overall lead, but you've got 2 class leaders respectively, and the 3rd class leader, the Pro-Am leader, is behind. That's Reinhard Koffler, but Marcucci wants an overall win, not just a class win, as he gets up the inside. Way wide went Piri, and Lorenzo Marcucci goes through into the lead of the race then. The car started 3rd. There's a back marking Calamia limping around in the way. Calamia trying to keep out of the way as best he can, and then Marcucci, the leader, throws it away, spins out of the hairpin, and Reinhard Koffler goes through into 2nd place, and Lorenzo Marcucci will drop behind Mike Simpson. He just worked his way into the lead, and 2 corners later, Lorenzo Marcucci loops it, and he hands the lead back on a silver platter to Luca Piri with 1 lap to go.
Koffler's the man on the move here. I think we're going to be a lap short of a KTM potential win. This was the roller coaster of emotions for LP. Half the garage happy they've got the race win, then the other half celebrating that the Audi spun, of course. But now Luca Piri just needs a nice steady lap. The KTM has had the pace though and has navigated this track really well. I just don't think it's got enough time to make a move. Let's see.
So there is the race leader again, Luca Piri. Was only in second place for a couple of corners, and now he's trying to get away with Reinhard Koffler, as you say, on a charge and quicker in the first sector. He's going to make up 1.6 seconds, but then even if he makes up the time, he's got to have a go, and that I don't think is going to be easy. Koffler may well play the percentages game and think a class win is better than a no finish, and that is what he's going to have. Second place, Reinhard Koffler and Marius Eigner. But we've also got another car that has ground to a halt just coming past the pits, and that is the number 115 Nil Montserrat Mercedes that has ground to a halt out of our window, coming over the timing line. There it is. So that's Nil Montserrat gone from 9th. Is that another legacy of the car just struggling in the heat, I wonder? Either way, you've got Luca Piri here carrying on the great work of Célia Martin and heading for a win. I think I'm right in saying this is going to give us our first female race winner within GT2 Europe in the person of Célia Martin. And Luca Piri deserves a race win as a driver. He's had so many successes as a team principal, but he hasn't raced that much of late. Go back to the late 90s, he was part of the FIA GT Championship. But Luca Piri and Célia Martin are on target to win race 1 of the weekend in GT2 European Series. A great drive by both Reinhard Koffler and Marius Eigner, right with them at the flag. The gap is 0.8 of a second. Third on the road, Mike Simpson. Fourth on the road after he spin Lorenzo Marcucci. He'll get 1 place back. And fifth, Moritz Wiskirchen. And that 50-minute race took an hour and a half.
It felt like longer with all the drama we were given, racing to the line. Still 5 different manufacturers inside the top 5. So an interesting one there. Mike Simpson is going to get all that time added on and a bag of wool at the end of it with all the penalties he was afforded. So he will lose an overall podium, I think, and that will give the Audi its podium back after that spin, after taking the lead.
Over the timing line there, Sarah Bovey to finish 9th ahead of J-Mo Hartling with the penalty. Nil Montserrat doesn't finish, so Max Grip up to 11th. And 12th will be Patrick Michelier. So bravo, Célia Martin. Stefan Ortelli there, a winner of the Spa 24 Hours, the winner of the Le Mans 24 Hours, goes to congratulate her. And Luca Piri, as I say, will be a very happy man with that race win after coming home victorious at the end of 1 hour and 31 minutes, effectively, of racing in that 50-minute race, if you see what I mean. But the time carries on under that red flag. So, Maserati takes honours, but a weird race in as much as so many dramas for cars because of the temperatures, and even right at the very end, we lost a couple. The Maserati of Calamia, we lost the Mercedes also, did we not, of Nil Montserrat right at the end. So the teams with quite a bit of work to do in some cases for tomorrow, because GT2 gets its second race right at the start of the day. 8:45 we're on air tomorrow. Wow. And was that wow an early start or wow at the cloud? I was going wow with the early start. I think we are going to get some rain before long, and the GT2 teams have escaped, and the McLaren Trophy drivers will be thinking, yeah, but if you hadn't had your red flag, we might have escaped as well if there's anything that's going to come out of the heavens. There you can see the surrounding environs of the Misano circuit. Lara van den Hengel with her back to you, Célia Martin, the race winner. So then, a race win and also a Masters class win for Célia Martin and Luca Piri. In Pro-Am, a win and second overall for Marius Eigner and Reinhard Koffler. And then in silver, a win and third overall for Stefan Rossina and Lorenzo Marcucci. Fourth place, second in Pro-Am to Wilhelm Kuhn and Moritz Wiskirchen. Fifth, second Masters place, Philippe Pret. And then sixth and third in Pro-Am, Thomas Uli and Nicola Piri. The others in silver, well, no other finishers. We lost Adrien Ferrer and we lost the Michael Nior, Ethan Gialdini, Ginetta. So a rather depleted podium we would get for silver. But for Célia Martin and Luca Piri, first time in the championship for Célia Martin, and it is a category win. Great effort. So the drivers will make their way back to the pit lane, and there Stefan Rattel goes to congratulate Celia Martin, encouraging Celia to come and have a go in the championship this weekend, and a good decision, I think, all round. There you can see other drivers. Stefan Rossina and Lorenzo Marcucci will reflect on that second place. And crash helmets off. You can see some rather warm drivers at the end of all of that. And when all the penalties have been applied, I think the order now is pretty much settled. So we can confirm Luca Piri and Celia Martin as the winners. Reinhard Koffler and Marius Eigner taking second, and then Lorenzo Marcucci and Stefan Rossina for third place. So drivers will be adorned with race winners' caps. Luca Piri, a happy man. One of his key customers there, Stefan Rattel, as well. Celia Martin arrives to say bravo.
Super good race. You were not expecting to win the overall.
And you've just let the game away there, Luca Piri, by saying we didn't expect to win overall, but they have, as well as a class win.
But I didn't touch him. He thinks I touched him.
And also just reflecting on that spin, having lost the lead to Lorenzo Marcucci, he did it all himself, just overcooked it going into the hairpin. So the celebrations continuing down in the pit lane. Right, let's hear from our race winners. Celia Martin and Luca Piri are with Bryn.
25-30 minutes, you're even happier.
Oh yes, it's unbelievable. I don't know. You know, we were just here for the fun. We had no expectations really, and but we got along so well this weekend. We had small issue, but we took it easy, you know, and it paid off. That's just, sometimes this is the good part of motorsport, you know. It pays off sometimes.
It's worrying that you took it easy and you got the victory yourself. You were saying about how well you've done as a partnership coming in, making your series debut as well. So it's great to have this partnership work so quickly.
I'm amazed with how successful it's been. I mean, my first win in GT2 has to happen with the excellent lady, and we are both bronze, so it's double and double the success that my son also was in the podium. So win side, we've got an Audi P2, so for the team side, it couldn't be better.
Congratulations, go and celebrate. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done to Luca Piri and to Celia Martin. A very, very good effort there in order to come home as race winners, and they will make their way to the podium. Let us hear from our Pro-Am victors, Marius Eigner and Reinhard Koffler. They are with Nina Jade Paul.
Well, that was not an easy race, and the conditions with all the stoppages. Talk us through your final stint.
Yeah, it was absolute everything on the table. I mean, we had a red flag, a big accident. But at the end, we deserved this for quite a long time. Marius and the team SRO Motorsports Center Reed did an incredible job. Also, KTM gave us this rocket ship, and it's very nice in 24 when we get the season title. We're starting winning here, so hopefully it's a good omen and mega drive by Marius.
Well, big smiles when you came to greet your teammate just then. What was the key to this win today?
I think we had a good pace, very good pace, and yeah, in the end, we both drove very safe, had no accident, and after the qualifying I had a small accident, and now it's really, really nice to have the podium at the win.
Well done, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Happiness all round then for the KTM drivers that have been getting closer and closer and closer to an outright win, and came very, very close just there as well. But a category win nonetheless is the outcome. So well done to Marius Eigner, to Reinhard Koffler, who was, of course, a champion a few seasons back. So drivers now making their way to the podium. And as the McLaren Trophy cars make their way to the circuit, the GT2 European Series field reflects on a rather frantic race in many respects, and also what's going to happen tomorrow, because with a few cars needing quite a lot of love, especially Antoine Possi's race stopping Maserati, then that is a car that will have a big question mark over it. But Maserati, I'm sure if they can oblige with parts, will do so. Race 1 of the weekend in the GT2 European Series at Misano was full of incidents, and it began with Antoine Potti leading into the first corner, only for Michael Nior to go round the outside at 1, get the inside for turn 2, and the lead coming out of turn 3. Potti chased and did exactly the same move a lap later, round the outside going into the first corner. Antoine Potti not only led, but pulled away as Célia Martin's Maserati went second, and before long, Stéphane Rossina was through into third place as well. But then Antoine Potti had this huge moment up at turn 10, through the gravel, straight on into the tyres and over as the barrier gave way, and that brought out the red flag to stop the race. And on the resumption, there was some good fighting. Prior to that, though, there was this move, Stéphane Rossina going ahead of Michael Nior, and his Ginetta would be withdrawn under the red flag with wishbone damage. So we had a great battle between Lorenzo Marcucci and Luca Pirri. Marcucci took over the race lead. That was at turn 12, got through 13, and at 14, this happened. A big loop. He accelerated through the corner, but the back just did not have the bite, and that lazy half spin dropped Marcucci down the order. So, Luca Pirri and Célia Martin won the Masters class, and to their great surprise, won the race outright, chased home by the Pro-Am winning Reinhard Koffler and Marius Eigner, and third place on the road, but with penalties gained away of Mike Simpson and Lawrence Tomlinson. No doubt about the winners, though. First time in the championship for Célia Martin, and she's a winner. Luca Pirri, a winner as a driver, as well as team owner. So, the podium is made ready. Drivers heading that way, and we'll get the trophies presented very shortly. GT2 again racing tomorrow morning, bright and early, and there's Philippe Pret, the shorter of the two you see. So for the race win, Luca Pirri and Célia Martin for the top step of the podium. Nicola Pirri pretty tired, it would appear, after a tough stint in that Maserati that Thomas Uli was talking about with the ABS dramas. Philippe Pret, all smiles in the background, double champion in AM, now renamed Masters. There is Thomas Uli, who's had a busy race as well. Matteo Braga from Pirelli in the background, ready to come forward. And
like I said, I was not expecting anything.
Thomas Uli still talking about the surprise, though, given the ABS incident. Lorenzo Marcucci very stony-faced after spinning away the race lead. Petrolisa in the background also. The LP team is there, and Thomas Uli, third in the class in Pro-Am, along with Nicola Pirri. Philippe Pret, all smiles for second in Masters. So we await confirmation that we have all the drivers, and then we can have things underway. But with the timetable having slipped and the next race imminent, it may be that we need to leave the drivers to celebrate away from our eyes. There are the trophies, and well done to our victors. We'll be back with GT2 action 8:45 tomorrow morning local time, and we'll see whether race 2 is as dramatic as race 1 has been. Bye for now.